happy to be going someplace, even just to the service station, with his father. He always had a grown-up, man-to-man feeling when they were alone together. He wished his father had time to take him places more often. As they drove toward the service station, they passed the Rose City Sporting Goods shop, where Henry noticed the windows filled with tennis rackets, golf clubs, and fishing tackle. Fishing tackle. That gave Henry a second idea. "Say, Dad," he said, "I was wondering if you plan to go fishing pretty soon." "I expect I will." Mr. Huggins stopped at a red light. "Hector Grumby and I thought we'd go salmon fishing sometime in September. Why?" "How about taking me along this year?" Henry tried to sound grown-up and casual. Mr. Huggins drove past the supermarket and turned into Al's thrifty service station. "We'll see," he said. Boy, oh boy, thought Henry, as he and Ribsy got out of the car near the grease rack. When his father said, "We'll see," he meant yes, unless something unusual happens. If he had said, "Ask your mother," it would mean he didn't care whether Henry went fishing or not. But we'll see. Henry could see himself sitting in a boat reeling in a salmon, a Chinook salmon. He could see himself having his picture taken beside his fish and could hear people saying, "Yes, this is Henry Huggins, the boy who caught the enormous Chinook salmon." When Mr. Huggins had arranged with Al, the owner of the station, to have the car lubricated, he turned to Henry and said, "I have to go to the bank and do a few errands. Are you coming with me, or do you want to wait here?" Henry had been so busy thinking about fishing that he had almost forgotten why he came to the filling station in the first place. He looked at the car beside the grease rack and hesitated. Maybe it was a silly idea. Still, it was something he had always wanted to do. Dad, do you suppose I could stay in the car and ride up on the grease rack?" Mr. Huggins and Al both laughed. "You know, I always wanted to do the same thing when I was a kid," said Mr. Huggins. "It's all right with me, but maybe Al won't think it's such a good idea." "It's okay with me," said Al. "But once you get up there, you'll have to stay till I finish the job. It may take a while because I have to wait on customers." "Sure, I'll stay," agreed Henry. "And you're not to open the car door while you're up there," cautioned Henry's father. "I won't," promised Henry, and got back into the car. Al drove it onto the rack and then got out to fix the axle supports that held the car to the rack. He turned a handle, and Henry felt the car begin to rise. "So long, Dad," Henry called, as he and the car rose slowly into the air. He felt as if he were riding in an elevator that didn't have a building around it. Too bad some of the boys and girls were not around to see him now. The car stopped, and Henry could hear the pish-tush of the grease gun as Al worked beneath him. How different things looked from up in the air. And wouldn't it be fun if cars could take off and drive along just this high? "Woof," said Ribsy, looking anxiously up at Henry as if he could not understand what the Huggins car was doing up in the air. "It's all right, Ribsy," said Henry. "I won't go any higher." Thump, 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 went Ribsy's tail on the cement. Al left the grease rack to sell some gasoline and check someone's oil. Ribsy, seeing that the car was not going to leave without him, wandered around the service station, sniffing the gasoline pumps and the Coke machine. Henry sat behind the steering wheel and pretended he was driving the car around in the air. He wished some of his friends would come along. Then Scooter McCarthy rode into the service station on his bicycle. He stopped by the air hose and started to unscrew the valve cap on his front tire. "Hi, Scooter," Henry called. Startled, Scooter looked around, but did not see Henry. He looked puzzled as he bent over to put air into his bicycle tire. "I bet I can have some fun with old Scooter," thought Henry. Then he said in a hollow voice, "I am the ghost of Henry Huggins." Quickly, he ducked down in the seat of the car. The air stopped hissing into Scooter's tire. Henry peeked out to see Scooter looking worried. "I have come to